safer, fast, more secure.
And it's true, but the NA and EU meta are somewhat different in what we like to pick and how we like to do things, but I'm glad that at least one team has imagination. Unicorns of Love over there got Olaf and the Sandra banouts.
I saw that as well. You just got there that little bit faster than me, Pulse.
Well, I was talking at the time and you didn't have the chance because I was going to carry on talking.
I know. I mean, I know it's been a while, but you can at least let me get some words in from time to time, Pulse. Come on.
Sorry, Stress.
You don't need to take all of the airtime.
Well, I will be taking most of it, but we do have 1 minute until we hit the delay. So do we have any final thoughts until we jump into this game, Stress?
Looking at it, we've got a couple of different things from the last game. We've got Oriana coming back in. We've got Jinx coming back into it as well. So interesting things to see in this game, because looks like Departed are going to play this one very standard to the meta, and in some respects a little couple of changes on the side of Unicorns of Love, but nothing too big of, if you'll excuse the pun, a departure from the norm.
Okay guys, we will jump to a quick commercial break, and when we get back we will be in the first game of the second best of 3 today in the semi-finals of EUS Challenger Series number 20. We'll see you soon.
Tuning out of starlight, the innocent lifetime flickers and flashes under a canvas. No, nobody seems worth it, while the feeling's sophisticated. The view is so restrained. The past is nearing closer and closer, I fear. So let's just cut the bullshit and tell me who's independent. Thumbs twiddling and your life life's escaping your mind. Keep in mind, well, the air ain't as free as it used to be, but that's quite alright when you're still 18, it seems to be. And I'll tell you who's overrated. What's a beautiful person with some hideous dreams? While the lining isn't silver, we're verging on the side of the road that'll take us home. The edge of us is getting weighed. Read about your life in your local papers. Realize the end of us is getting near. You're just a droplet of paint trickled off your canvas. Delirious illusion flowing backwards through the river of color while we analyze to try to see it clearer. Secretly appealing to a lonely prisoner. Now what's your vision? Initiate your shading, blend the universe together in time. It only gets a little easier. Suddenly piece yourself back together now. What's your vision?
We are live in game here. Unicorns of Love versus Departed for the Chaos TV EUS Challenger Series number 20. And we've got used to doing long intros because here comes the invade.
Okay, because that's not a good place to be. And first blood drops to Jinx only 45 seconds into the game.
Oh man, Departed. There was a patch today. You can't do that anymore. Oh, Dark Binding lands again.
That's not how the game works. NIQ has been caught out. The Q will land into the Sonic Wave resonating strike. Last auto the flash forwards was unnecessary, but either way, a flash for another kill. 2-0. Unicorns of Love looking really good at the start of this game.
Oh man, the game has changed. That small seemingly difference to those trinket ward timers makes such a big difference here in this game. Morgana, also pretty much the queen of picking at level 1, lands 2 fantastic Dark Bindings. That's 2 kills in the books, and Unicorns of Love start out amazingly well against the Departed here.
It's funny because Morgana's Q is a really slow projectile. It moves like a glacier, but because there's no vision now in the early game, it doesn't matter how slowly it moves. If they're standing still and you know where they are, it's going to land.
And you look at the members that it went to. 1 kill went to Jinx, 1 kill went to Lee Sin, and that is really, really good here for Unicorns of Love. Jinx typically would like those early kills, those early advantages to scale better because of how well she scales into the game with objectives and kills. So getting that already, another Dark Binding.
Perfect, on to Woolite, and here's just, that's 3 out of 3, we'll see how many more land. If they land onto a minion, we'll still call that another hit. Perma again, another Dark Binding, taking so much damage from Vardags, doesn't quite have the damage at this point to finish him off, but if that Ignite had been up from the first blood, then that would have been another kill in the bot lane.
Oh my goodness, Unicorns of Love. This Morgana support out of Hylisang, and I remember back to the first Face It Challenger Invitational, Hylisang, oh my goodness, lands another one.
Is he using an aimbot? Because every single one of these Qs is landing and it's weaving in between the minions. Unbelievable. It's truly the Dark Horse or the Dark Unicorns of this tournament.
Oh, didn't quite get that one.
No, not quite. Perm will be responding with that perfect stun. The flash out, a double flash from both of those bot lanes. Picks up 1 kill onto Hylisang. Vardags is dropping low. 1 more auto attack will do it. Boomerang Blade will connect, but the barrier and the new animation comes up to save Vardags' life.
Yeah, force that barrier out. That was a case of Hylisang being too aggressive. You hit a lot of Dark Bindings there, but you've got to be careful. If it doesn't land and you're in that short window where, you pushed quite far forward, then you're in trouble. No Black Shield either on Morgana at that point. Only level 2 had taken Tormented Soil to try and get a little bit more out of those trades, so wasn't able to keep herself alive, so gets punished for that over-aggressive play, but I was going to mention that Hylasang actually, when we remember back to the Face It Challenger Invitational #1, was playing Leona and did pretty much exactly the same thing. Always landed some sublime Zenith Blades.
And Unicorns of Love really came out of nowhere as an extremely strong team. You remember in the Face It Invitational, they took down Cloud9 EU, and we just saw that matchup as a 2-0 in favor of Cloud9 EU, and they were taken down in very convincing fashion. And Unicorns of Love just showing exactly why they are so strong at the moment.
And they even just passed the new acquisitions from Coast. They just 2-0'd Coast Gold in the quarterfinals of this Challenger Series to get to this semi-final. And now I was speaking a little bit with Master Sheepy earlier, who said they actually have scrimmed against Departed. So this could be two teams that know each other fairly well going toe-to-toe here. We'll see whether those playstyle knowledge, little bits of information that they will have shared in the scrims actually comes to fruition here.
So Lee Sin just hanging around in the opposing jungle. Master of Sheepy does not seem to care at the moment. Both the junglers find each other, but level 4 Lee Sin, and in fact the red buff has just timed out. Doesn't mean Kickers wants to jump onto him, however. And Master of Sheepy wanders around, walks past NIQ, whiffs the Q, and walks on out.
Back down in that bottom lane, that early pressure coming out from Morgana has actually meant that there was a slight CS difference when you take into account the kill on Jinx as well. There's actually nearly 300 gold between the two AD carries right now as the difference, which of course is the majority of the kill, but that's a significant difference this far into the game.
You know, the interesting thing is that now that the Frost Queen's claim is kind of the item you pick up Babunia, however, in the top lane is ticking down and the Ignite picks him up. And Kickers will move into the top lane just to fill in the blanks. But going back onto that item pickup, it's for the more aggressive choice, which generates more gold. But Morgana's auto attacks are pretty short range compared to someone like Annie, where it's very easy to land those auto attacks. So maybe that's the reason why he's going so far forwards and has put himself in more precarious positions where he might have otherwise wanted to be in.
Looks like the bottom lane for Departed are going to recall here, and I wonder whether Jinx will follow suit, because it depends on whether they feel like being greedy. They're fairly high health in lane, and at 1300 gold, she may decide to stay until she's farmed up to the point where she can get that BF sword, because a BF sword for Jinx here would put them significantly further ahead, because it's a Vamp Scepter and Boots only here for Sivir. She couldn't afford anything more, and that would be a big damage spike for Vardags and Hylasang.
Now, I'm having to wonder whether Babunia read the patch notes or not, because he teleported to a minion that was right next to the turret. But now if you teleport to a turret, you get a huge reduction on the timer of the cooldown of teleport, but Babunia didn't utilize that.
I'm glad you picked up on that, because I'll be honest, I didn't notice the teleport happening while I was talking down in bottom lane, but it's something that I've been waiting all day to bring up as soon as we had that teleport, which actually makes teleporting to a turret very, very beneficial now, of course, because you get that reduced cooldown. A little note, I believe now cancelled teleports actually still have a slightly higher reduced cooldown.
They do, but that teleport didn't seem to put Babunia in a better place, because he is being dove by Vizixachi with that ultimate available. The flash comes down last. Tower shot from the turret does not quite take him down. That Call the Meek did keep him alive.
Ziggs is roaming though, has the ultimate available.
Nope. Didn't quite work out.
It actually nearly pushed Vizixachi back in towards the turret as well, so it was nice balancing of his position there.
It was well aimed by that Ziggs, and Lee Sin did think about doing the dragon, did clear out that ward, but decided better off at that awkward ward placement, in fact, from the team that Departed. I'm not sure if they realise where it is, that being Unicorns of Love, but either way, they will know if they move on to that dragon.
Yeah, it's a nice ward there just to make sure, but talking back about this bottom lane, that BF sword was indeed picked up by Jinx, so one Dark Binding is going to mean that they'll trade very well here in this bottom lane in favour of Unicorns of Love, but of course Sivir has had the mana cost onto Ricochet adjusted ever so slightly and slightly less damage on Boomerang Blade, so it means that their trading is a little bit worse when it comes to the harass from Ricochet and Boomerang Blade as it goes through the minion wave.
We're 8 minutes into the game, and 1,000 gold advantage is going to the team of Unicorns of Love, but there is a farm advantage in the mid lane, and bot lane are being very aggressive, but no kills just yet. Probably won't see too much until we hit level 6, but the mid laners have definitely done that already. Satchel Charge comes down, brings NIQ out of the danger zone, and Orianna will probably just head around and maybe farm some minions, or just head up to top lane.
And speaking of that top lane, we look at this Mundo Renekton matchup, and this typically is what a lot of top laners have said is picking Mundo in this situation where Renekton is available typically isn't a good lane matchup for him, and you're relying on that later game scaling, so it translates into a 2-kill lead with an extra assist going to Renekton from the earlier kills, plus the CS lead. Overall is 1,000 gold between the top laners right now.
And the early game is really the only point in the game where Renekton has that upper hand against Mundo, and Mundo really needs to hit the stage where he's itemizing, but I don't think he's going to hit that stage for a long time. It's been delayed by Vizixachi, and to make it very difficult for Babunia really to catch up in the next couple of minutes, as long as Vizixachi keeps up the pressure.
And he's having a bit worse of a time is Mundo, because typically a Renekton wouldn't go Brutalizer first. Normally it would be looking for a TM build into more tank from like a Sunfire Cape, something like that. But this Brutalizer is giving him the extra armor penetration, and is kind of helping him out against that Chain Vest. Nice spell shield out in that bottom lane, keeps Wooliter alive, but it just means that Vizixachi is doing that little bit more damage because Babunia opted for the armor first, rather than the flat health.
And bot lane, however, the Soul Shackles are ticking off against Woolite. He just, in fact, wanders out of it. Did burn his ultimate for that privilege. Lee Sin coming down, and he won't have that defensive ultimate to keep them alive. But Pantheon was also heading around the area. Not sure if they twigged towards his presence, but Master of Sheepy walking into that jungle. Both of these guys have the red buffs. Top lane, however, Vizixachi will be falling to an NIQ's gank. That has displaced the mid laners then. We'll see if Lee Sin tries to do something funky, clears out that ward, and Kicker's showing him he knows what's up.
Yeah, he does indeed know what's up. As you can see, Hylasang and Vardags are going to just shove out this bottom lane. This is what they were trying to do earlier on with that Soul Shackle, but I kind of feel like it was a little bit too far range Soul Shackle. They did get Wooliter's ultimate at the same time, and they're on a very similar cooldown though.
And also, if they were looking for that gank from Lee Sin as well, it meant he had his ultimate and his summoners available, whereas the bot lane didn't have their defensive ultimate available. But it didn't end up mattering, and those ultimates are on cooldown. Dragon has not been attempted just yet, 11 minutes into the game, and this is going back to something we more expect from the Season 4 meta, where it's a later Dragon, around about 15 minutes or even later than that, and the lanes run is a bit more passive.
Yeah, we saw a very aggressive game in the first semi-final of the day, with the Cloud9 games going up against, and unfortunately, my mind has just completely blown on that one.
Yeah, it wasn't something we were expecting at all. It was Jack's Rise.
I'm sorry, Maus. How did I forget that? Because I wanted to call them MYM. That's the first game I've ever cast them as Maus.
Well, it was their entire lineup, excluding their mid lane, and they have cycled through a couple different mid laners, but it is the entire MYM lineup, and I think most people will be calling them MYM or ex-MYM for the foreseeable future until people get used to their new name of Mouse.
The thing is, they're even called MYM still in the Riot League, or were, right, because they didn't get the name change through, so yeah, nevertheless, here comes the Grand Skyfall in the bottom lane.
The man drop is ticking down, jumps in with the Aegis of Zenonia, and with the push forwards, looks like it's going to be enough for the counter gank from Master of Sheepy. A perfect kick lands onto Free. The ultimate comes through, the Mega Inferno Bomb. NIQ has rotated from the mid lane. The jump forwards from the flash into another Aegis lands onto Sheepy. Maybe not the place he wants to be going. The jump over the wall will secure his life, but not secure the life of Hylasang.
A couple of little things there is there was a good team interaction out of Morgana and Master of Sheepy. As Hylasang flashed forward, Lee Sin waited to safeguard until the flash had completed. Oh, there's a
huge shockwave onto three members from the Super Mega Death Rocket, which came in. And the kill did go down onto Woolite. So Vizixachi has just wandered down from the top lane, pops his ultimate. Probably won't be falling, but he is trading off against Babunia. His team aren't really rotating to help him, but with that sadism, he should be able to run on out. Now, Dragon was not taken down, and now that everyone has respawned and gone back to the Dragon, looks like Unicorns of Love are going to pick this one up.
Yeah, Departed was so low health there that they couldn't afford to stay around Dragon because it was re-aggroing constantly, and they have to back off. They're far too low to even contest that, so it works out really nicely here for Unicorns of Love that they kind of took that fight fairly badly in the bottom lane with that Grand Skyfall, but results in them picking up a Dragon.
So everyone just walking back into their lanes, but let's take a look at some of the item builds, because there's been so much action, and even less action in fact the first couple of games, but there's still been quite a lot. Let's take a look at some of those item builds. So mid lane going for the very conventional itemizations of the Fiends and Holy Grail into probably the Death Cap for both these mid laners. And even though they perform in different ways, their item builds are very similar.
Yeah, and down in that bottom lane, again, we've got that disparity between the AD carries from the early kill in the CS lead. The Bloodthirster finished on the side of Jinx up against the BF Sword and Vampiric Scepter, so that recipe cost hasn't quite been achieved, although Sivir is holding over the recipe cost now, so it's just a case of getting and buying time to go back. So this is one of these situations where they've got to be careful they don't choose to fight at an inopportune moment.
Lee Sin heading into the top lane and just decides to recall. Not something that's going to happen. Babuni has kind of gotten past the point where he can just be 1v1 by Vizixachi, and a jungler gank would make any difference to that top lane. So it's kind of what we're used to in the season. For the man drop, however, will do so v8 Vizixachi, who's gone for a very aggressive build. Kikis lands the Aegis for the stun, and the Ziggs bomb doesn't even get anywhere closer for Renekton. I'm not really sure if he was just expecting him to juke back into him.
Really nice spell shield in the bottom lane.
Shockwave just drags him back from the satchel charge, and NIQ might just turn around and try and kill him. The auto attacks come through, the barrier pop by NIQ. Waits for that to time out, and the shutdown comes in for Zodias.
Down in the bottom lane.
Perm is not in good shape. His AD carry fell, and he will meet the same fate. And the bot lane picks up 2 kills in quick succession. Lee Sin heads into the top lane, but it has been warded.
Kills and ganks all across the board here, and Babunia should be able to get out of this one, although no sadism available could leave him in trouble.
The flash into the Dragon's Rage will knock him backwards. The Q gives him the vision, and the follow through slice and dice. The auto attack into Call the Meek picks up another kill for Vizixachi.
Really nice use of the entire kit from Lee Sin there, making sure he cut off Dr. Mundo there. Without sadism available, had to burn flash, still wasn't enough to keep him alive. Unicorns of Love will take a bottom lane turret at the same time as taking top, and have very, very quickly stamped their authority on this game, taking great fights across the map.
Picking up a lot of momentum. I'm not sure if you picked up the mid lane trade, but Orianna managed to knock Ziggs out of his satchel charge jump in midair using the shockwave, which was pretty exciting. But that was happening while the bot lane trade was going on, so that's why I picked up on it first.
I just caught the end of it, where we saw Zodiaz actually really nicely have the cooldowns onto command attack as NIQ's barrier timed out. So most of barrier actually was kind of mitigated by the fact that nothing of Orianna's is on available at the time anyway. So Zodiaz got away with that one pretty nicely.
And there's a lot of new animations in the new patch that I would like to see, but it's fairly unlikely we'll see any of these pro players pick up the heal or even Ghost on any of these champions. But I do want to see those animations. Hylsang moves into the bot lane, just warding this one up, and both the bot laners and indeed the supports have gone for very similar item builds. Boost of mobility, however, goes on to Annie, whereas the Ionian boost of lucidity picked up by Morgana.
Now that is interesting. Of course that's going to give you the cooldown reduction on all of her abilities, so Black Shield is going to be one of the most key there, as typically has a large cooldown. I think, if I remember, it's about 18 seconds at base while in lane. So that's going to get reduced. He's currently around about 16.5 seconds on that Black Shield, so the faster and faster that comes available, the better it is for Unicorns of Love to survive through that. And of course, a product of that is going to be more Dark Bindings more available, just all of the time throwing out more of that crowd control. And you know, Unicorns of Love are doing a good job so far of keeping control of the map and dewarding at the dragon, rotating now towards the middle lane. We know how good at pushing turrets Jinx is, and they're going to try and look to utilize that.
They're just kind of winning in all of their lanes and all of the objectives. 1 minute 40 on that dragon, and it doesn't seem like anyone... Well, they're not going to approach it because it's not spawned yet, but they are clearing out the area of those wards, and Walleye 2 is pushing away onto this turret. The Q lands, however, into the zap. He's going to be spell shielded, and the Flame Trumpers go down. Will actually tag him. The Super Mega Death Rocket comes through and will tag Walleye, so the flash comes out. Hylsang will be the one to claim that kill. Master of Sheepy jumps over the wall using that ward, which was placed down a little while ago. Now clearing out the pink ward, gearing up for this dragon very nicely.
One of the advantages is that this Jinx Morgana bot lane has is that there's so many abilities for Sivir to have to decide on spell shielding that one of them is going to get through. There's no way that, unless they horribly miss all of their crowd control, that Unicorns of Love aren't going to catch a Sivir, and typically that's one of Sivir's strengths, is it's difficult to lock her down. But between Jinx's Flame Chompers, the Zap, Morgana Soul Shackle, Dark Binding, all of these abilities will lock down Walleye. Now that his flash is burnt again, he's going to be susceptible once again to all of that crowd control.
So, with 30 seconds left on the clock, we've got Renekton recalling, knowing that he will have to be around for this fight, and isn't achieving too much in the top lane. Mundo able to clear that out very quickly. He does have his teleport, so he doesn't need to be anywhere close to the dragon to have some sort of impact. And nice new animation on picking up the extra health and mana from those jungle camps. Now into effect, Master Sheepy is being very aggressive. The Black Shield comes down, but it's not going to protect him from all of that damage. So Mega Inferno Bomb claims the kill. They did pick up the tower in return, but with the jungler down, this might be the brute force push onto Dragon from Departed.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate timing out for Unicorns of Love that it's their jungler going down. NIQ gets caught by the Dark Binding and the Zap, but the rotation is on towards the Dragon now. Halisang getting tagged quite heavily.
They may just go for this fight. Halisang immediately drops into the death chamber. The teleport is coming in from Mundo, however, and Vizisachi is caught completely out of position. Zodias lands a great shockwave, but only onto one member. He will pick up that kill, and the zap comes across the wall all the way back from Jinx. But 3 kills for 1 is a trade that Departed will take any day.
They will, and it actually looked like not only were Departed trying to get a pick there to open up Dragon, it actually looked like Unicorns of Love were trying to bait a fight, but didn't really want it. They wanted to delay Departed from actually getting to the Dragon area, which they succeeded on, but they gave away a lot for it. They gave away a turret, they gave 3 kills, and now it doesn't even look like they're going to be able to contest because there's not really a lot of ways, save for a Miracle Steal, the Master of Sheepy can get work done.
He's giving it a shot and has reset the dragon just for a couple seconds. I'm still not sure if it's going to be enough, but they are pestering him long enough for the rest of the team to come back into position. NIQ thrown back into the fight. The dragon will be falling to Jinx right here, and Vardags is pushing everyone out of the fight. Kickers has come in with the man drop. Again picks up Master of Sheepy. Wooliter is following up. Vardags gets hit with the Mega Inferno Bomber. Perfect. Glacier-like Q from across the wall will keep his AD carry alive. I believe that was Unicorns of Love picking up the dragon in that fray.
It was. Jinx picked that up because Pantheon wasn't there at the time, so even though Master Sheepy ended up falling, and Zodiac's looking to 2v1 here.
Double kill comes out, 1 for 2 trades, and that was a huge shockwave, just evening up the odds.
Apologies for that one. I actually had skipped back to just check on Pantheon's positioning, so wasn't quite live. So I was wondering why I was a little off sync there. But I am back onto live now.
I mean, after all that mayhem, you don't expect another kill to go down, let alone a double kill and 3 kills after the chaos. But mid lane is going to be seeing the Unicorns of Love team making some sort of push, but with Vardags and the 3-man stack, not able to do too much without their mid laner. Doesn't look like they're going to do too much else. They are hanging around in the opposing jungle, just picking up the blue up, denying some of those objectives from NIQ.
Let's look at the gold distribution here on the side of Unicorns of Love. They've got 5 kills and 211 farm on to Orianna. That's an Orianna currently sat at a total gold of just over 9,000. When you take into account that Ziggs hasn't even breached 8,000 yet, that's a big difference between the two right now. And Ziggs is 4-3 himself, so it's not even like he's having a bad game. Just Orianna is on top of farm, on top of kills in these fights as well. And the fact really that Jinx has been ahead really does bode well for Unicorns of Love in this fight, because they've got good itemization. They're on Bloodthirster Last Whisper with a Zeal for Jinx, so she'll be able to start pushing towers down and getting kills in fights very, very quickly here.
But Departed not out of it yet. Typically when you see the junglers with all these kills, you say, well, maybe they're slightly going to waste, because most junglers will go for a more tanky build as you transition into the mid and late game. But when you're playing someone like Pantheon or Wukong, you can quite easily go for the Spirit of the Elder Lizard into Brutalizer, which is basically what you pick up every game. And those kills are definitely not going to waste when it comes into the damage output of Departed.
Vardags is just going to take the jungle and then return down to the bottom lane. They have been able to hold that turret as well, which is actually something fairly surprising when you take into account that going against a Sivir, you expect to be pushed in a lot. But Unicorns of Love have done a great job of punishing Sivir whenever they have overextended. And speaking of overextending, no turret here for Babunia.
Man drop is timing down. The Mega Inferno Bomb has come across and doesn't tag anyone. The perfect tip is stuns up too from the team of Unicorns of Love, but Zodiac has rotated. A huge shockwave onto 2 will almost instantly give them. NIQ has rotated but meets Orianna, who cuts him off in that rotation. Kickers meanwhile is just slicing down Vizisachi, who will eventually fall to another spear, but completely out of mana. Kikis is backing off into his own brushes, and only a matter of time before Master of Sheepy mops up this kill, along with the help of Zodiaz, who has just offered the command protect. And there is the wall jump forwards, and the last auto attack will pick up that kill onto Zodiaz.
And I'm actually quite surprised. You can see how Pantheon just kind of ended up dueling Vizicachi there. And of course, Vizicachi had taken a fair amount of damage in that fight, but Pantheon with that Brutalizer and the Spirit of the Elder Lizard able to output quite a lot of damage in that fight. Meanwhile, all the time that was happening, Vardags was pushing bottom lane.
He has finally been stopped by Walliter and Perm, but even 1 versus 2... The two-man stack, not sure if they want to go for this, but now the Aggrats with that perfect stun landing from Perm. And Vardags will expend his flash, but is going to annoy Perm as he tries to clear out that pink.
That's a situation, though, that a Jinx is kind of susceptible in, though, is when the flash is down, you don't have any escape. Now they kind of have to have this buddy system, where Hylasang stays quite close to Vardags, so the Black Shield can be used.
Or he can just keep on landing those Qs, and into the ultimate, just removes him from the map. The ultimate's timing down, gets the stun onto Wallite, and Jinx is quite a long ways away, but the zap lands, and the auto attack from Mr. Fishbones claims another kill, and the ultimate is coming through from Ziggs, and will tag Vardags, but he did lifesteal enough. NIQ gets caught out in the mid lane and gets flattened by Zodiaz.
Vardags in trouble.
Kikis is pushing forward. He did use that man drop, and Hylissang is floating away to flash over the Q. Will keep him in contention, and knockback cancels the Heartseeker strike, and Master of Sheepy is just keeping his team alive with those perfect plays. A Q lands, and Kikis may be falling right here. The Aegis at least stuns him up and creates enough distance to keep him safe.
Again, more trading in this game as Babunia and Vizicachi going at it once again in the top lane. Vizicachi this time feels like he wants to back off. Babunia had Sadism pop. That's another turret going in favor of Unicorns of Love, though, and they are really accelerating this game pretty quickly.
Zodiaz did pick up the kill onto Ziggs, and there was no one really to fill in the gap. Kikis found himself Master of Sheepy, but not quite the fight he wants until Perma arrives. He didn't realise the support was around the corner, and so was Walliter, so he did stand his ground, and Lee Sin will just have to run away from this fight today.
Zodiaz now at 9-3, just actually picked up a Haunting, guys, which, isn't the most standard item onto Orianna, but of course is going to give her a little bit more survivability, that extra penetration, and I wonder later we may see it be a Leandries for that percentage health, but right now just going to be able to do more damage with that magic penetration.
It's an interesting argument, actually, because it's whether Orianna's base damages are high enough to warrant going for the extra magic penetration rather than just going for something like Death Cap and more AP. And even the Lucidity boots for the cooldowns are flash forwards into the ultimate, and Ziggs just evaporates.
That's a lot of damage. I mean, you can make the argument about base damage and extra penetration. But yeah, she's 10-3 right now, so it's going to be a while before she's not doing damage.
Quite a long time, and Zodiaz doesn't pick up the blue off because Physics actually picks it up with some 5k. But either way, I'm not going to be too unhappy, at least denying the blue from Ziggs, which is one of the big stalling mechanisms in this game.
Babunia once again is pushed fairly far up into the top lane. This time, they're going to have to use a couple of ultimates if they want to save him.
Babunia is taking down. He has used Sadism, but he doesn't quite have the regen for this one. And that 3-man stack from Unicorns of Love picks up that kill onto Babunia. The 4 versus 5 is into effect, and it will mean that Unicorns of Love are opting towards the Baron. Hylissang is the one to zone them away, but Baron is dropping fairly quickly. It's down to about 50% HP. The man drop comes down, and this will be the steal attempt. That's going to completely disengage, and the ultimates will clear him out immediately. But Perm also jumps into the fray, gets dropped in an instant. Master of Sheepy has landed the kill onto Walliter. Don't need to go for the fight because to just carry on with the dragon, but Zodiaz and Vizixachi are quite low. NIQ did try to do some harass and may fall for his troubles. Vardags and the rest of the team have been sped up from that dissonance coming in from Orianna. Wasn't quite enough to bring them in range to take up that Ziggs, but it will bring them in range to push down the top lane.
Unicorns of Love secure the Baron, also pick themselves up a couple of kills there, and that really is another good passage of play out from Unicorns of Love, having nearly 12,500 gold as their lead at the near 30-minute mark. Unicorns of Love are looking like they were in the same form as when they eliminated Cloud9 from the Face It Invitational.
And 4,000 or 4,500 difference between the mid laners is causing quite a lot of issues at the moment for Departed, because you typically don't see the more utility mid laners like Orianna and Lulu as snowball champions, but when you have 11 kills, they definitely are snowball champions.
Yeah, they start doing a fair amount of damage, and you can see it's not even just the kills, it's the fact that she's also about 60 CS up on her lane opponent. One very minor thing that you can see that tells you just how far behind Departed are is they still have some of their outer turrets, but Perm using his whatever remaining gold he had to buy a pink ward for inside their base to watch for wards over the wall. So it's a very smart play to make sure that they can clear out any wards, but this early into the game is a very desperate preventative measure to stop any fast rotates.
I mean, typically when you're behind, you put wards in your jungle to try and stop the push from happening, but it's very rare you put wards inside of your base when the inhibitor towers are still up. But it's the play that they have to make being so far behind, and Unicorns of Love are just stampeding in this game. NIQ and Kickers hanging around the mid lane, and Kickers doesn't feel the need to stick around and will be recalling.
Interesting enough, we've seen Jinx pick up Static Shiv normally. This time actually opting for the Phantom Dancer. A little bit less wave clear, but when you take into account that they have an Orianna, they have a Morgana as well for that Tormented Soil, and Jinx herself actually does a pretty good job of, clearing waves once she has that extra attack speed. I think they're just going for this more damage in team fights from just the attacks out of Vardags. They've locked down Babunia.
Babunia is not the person who's going to drop him very quickly. Even when you had that 3 versus 1 in the top lane, he was still alive for quite a significant length of time. Does mean Babunia is going to try and soak up as much of these skill shots as he can and wait for that perm disengage or re-engage as they see fit. Annie's big flash tibbers could result in a good team fight, but Zodiaz's Shockwave in the right place could spell doom for the team of Departed. Master of Sheep, he is trying to be perhaps over-aggressive. Babunia again caught out, and the damage is raining down onto him. Vizix actually unable to land the Ruthless Predator, but there's a flash forward and land it on instead to NIQ, who gets detonated. The Mandrop comes down, and he did pop down behind him. Kickers flashes forward onto Vardags, but the shielding is huge from Orianna and the black shield from Morgana. Perm is just stunning them away, and the Super Mega Draft Rocket came across, did land onto Perm, didn't quite pick up the kill, but everyone being so low pushes them back to base and will claim the top tower.
I was going to try and comment before that kicked off, but unfortunately didn't have the time, that a Baroned up Unicorns of Love are probably not worth fighting over an outer tower right now, or as in a non-inhibitor tower, because it's kind of just meant that from there an inhibitor tower is going to fall, and the rest actually of Departed are going to fall in tow.
Zodiaz just evaporates the rest of the remaining members, the last defenders from the team of Departed. Babunia is going to try his best and just get locked up for all eternity. NIQ jumps out of base. He was dead and was alive and now is dead again as his Nexus turrets are falling, and this is most likely the game. Kick is putting up the valiant attempt at trying to hold off this onslaught. Did pick up one onto Master of Sheepy, which he has been doing all game, but when there's a Jinx on the opposing team, the towers and objectives will be falling quite quickly.
Nearly 20,000 is the gold lead for Unicorns of Love. They will shut out game number 1 against Departed here, and that was a convincing performance from the Unicorns of Love.
32 kills to 14, quite a bloodthirsty game. The game was definitely a bloodbath, but anyway guys, we will be jumping to a quick commercial break, but before that I think we have a message from Stress about our sponsors.
We do indeed. So if you are enjoying the content, which of course you are here on the EUS Challenger Series, make sure you check out our friends over at Esports Venture. Scroll down the page a little bit, there's a link on the Twitch page, or you can put !bet into chat and follow the link. It's super duper important that you follow the link, guys, because you'll get some extra sign-up goodies for depositing once you follow the link, as Esports Venture want to reward the awesome Chaos TV viewership. So once you follow the link, you'll be on the Esports Venture site. Select the game that you want to bet on. Of course, it's going to be League of Legends that you want to bet on, because it is the best game. And you can bet on everything from LCS matches in North America and Europe to the EUS Challenger Series as well, on the semi-finals and final rounds of the tournament. So select the matchup that you want, select the team that you want to bet on, and it'll appear in the betting slip on the right-hand side. Once you are on that betting slip, you can put in your stake. It'll tell you your return, and of course, from there, happy betting, because of course we'd like you to do as well as you possibly can with your predictions. But remember that if you have followed that link there, you'll get the extra sign-up bonuses, which are after you deposit €20, you'll get 10% extra if you deposited over €20, plus an extra €5 on top of that. And I think for this week, for the Alliance versus Gambit matchup, they've actually got some special unique bets as well, where you look at who gets the first dragon. I think towers as well are in that as well. So there's a lot there to be betting on in that Alliance Gambit match from LCS. But we will be back with our own games here for the Chaos TV Challenger Series, with game number 2 of Unicorns of Love going up against Departed in our second semi-final of the day in just a few minutes.